and welcome to Office Hours on School Rubric. And I know that I'm really excited, and I don't just say that because it's in the script. I say it because we're talking about a subject that is near and dear to my heart. But even better than that, three real experts in the field of physical education, in wellness, and really making sure that our students and our staff and people are connected to their physical well-being, their mental well-being. And so I'm really excited to get into our guests and into the conversation. So I'll give a quick introduction, and then if all three of you would just give us a little lowdown on who you are in education, what do you do, and what you're excited to talk about tonight. So we got Nick, we got Tara, and we got Neise. So Nick, why don't we start with you? Give us a little introduction, let us know who you are and what you're about in education.
Awesome. Yes, thanks a lot. It is a late night here in Austria, but I didn't want to miss this conversation. So thanks for having me. Nick DeForest. I'm the Assistant Director of the Events Office at the American International School of Vienna, basically an athletic director, but I'm originally from St. Catharines, Ontario, but called Vienna home since 2000. So long time overseas, but just in this one school. Last year, I started a Globetrotting ADs podcast, which branched out into this big global community of ADs from international schools all around the world. Thanks for having me.
Nick, that's fantastic. Tara, you're next.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. I'm Tara Martin. I have served as a classroom teacher, as an instructional coach, and later as a district administrator. I now work for Dave Burgess Consulting, and I work with authors that are educators trying to share their messages with the world. I'm also very into fitness. I feel like it's something that I'm super passionate about and was in all my different roles, but reminding teachers and educators, especially as an administrator, that it's so important to keep our minds and our bodies healthy so we can better serve those that we are so blessed to be able to work with every single day and to model that for our students. So I'm really excited to be here today and talk fitness and talk wellness and how important it is to be in our school systems, not just in PE class, but all the way through, everywhere.
Oh, that's a great piece right there. Neise, how about you? Let us know what you're doing and adding this whole international flavor to this conversation tonight or this morning.
Hello, everybody. Hello from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. I work at the American School of Rio de Janeiro. I have been working there for many years. I used to be a soccer coach as well and a former athletic director. Right now, I'm the head of the phys ed department and also a middle school PE teacher. And my hobbies are beach sports, climbing, and riding my bike.
Oh, this is going to be a fantastic conversation. So much different variety of where people have come from to connect with this whole physical education, wellness space, and just already the idea that, yeah, we want it in our PE space, but we don't want to compartmentalize physical education to merely that space. So let's get into our first question. I know we got Lisa tuned in to give us a nice question to get us all started. Lisa, let's hear it.
Physical education activities can sometimes be intimidating for students, and some are reluctant to participate. How can we ensure that these activities are inclusive and that we support fitness and growth for all students?
I love this question. I love this question to get us started. I won't even dive in with my own insights because we got three experts here. So let's dive into the crew that we got going. Tara, I'll get you to lead the conversation on that great first question tonight on Office Hours.
I love it. I think it's so important that we do have movement. Movement is it was the first form of language, right? Before words were even formed, we were moving. We're humans. We're meant to move. And I think having movement in all of the different areas of education, like I said earlier, it doesn't only have to happen in the PE class, but it needs to be age appropriate. I feel like too often we aren't, maybe, I know in the schools that I've worked in, we aren't always getting students and the upper grades to move, right? Our littles are moving, they're dancing, they're learning all these things with movement. But I love, for one, I love the programs and the things that are out there that allow the students to have these class breaks where they're doing maybe lunges or they're using their backpack as a weight to get some movement in, or they're having these moments of mindful moments where they can have a moment to practice a breathing exercise, things like that. I just think it's very important that we have multiple different kinds of movement. We expose students to those types of movements, that they can find what they're interested in. I know that some of you shared your hobbies earlier. That's important. I think we need to have more of that introduced to our students in the school system, so they can go off and find what they're interested in, and to keep that hobby, that habit of movement in their life as they grow up and become adults.
Right.
Tara, that's a great buzzword there. Movement, not fixating necessarily on we want to play a lot of basketball. I really like that breaking it down to movement, because it just allows so many gateways to be active. Nick, why don't you take over the conversation here? What are your thoughts on this?
Absolutely. Thanks. And Tara, that's it. Just keeping them to be active and engaged, their whole life. And I really think that's the focus of athletic teams, especially in these international schools where I am. It's really true educational based athletics. We're not about wins and losses. We're about getting people out and participating, and really creating this inclusive program, where the coaches, the teachers, the admin, they're all on board. They all just want kids to participate. And to do that, it's really the relationships with the students. You really have to connect with them, get to know them, find your hobbies, like you said, and kind of guide them and say, hey, come on out for a team. It's okay you never played before. Come on, maybe you don't make the varsity team, but maybe there's a JV, a B, a C team. And if you have that culture at your school where it is about participation and not about winning, some of those, let's say, new students or inexperienced athletes will take the risk and join a team just to get out there.
Nick, you bring some great points about making sure that our sports isn't just being tailored necessarily for the intelligence of athletics, that we're really making sure we have lots of different ways to get lots of many people engaged in that activity. And you don't have to have that elite sports background to be able to participate. Neise, why don't you come and give us some insights to wrap up this question, and then I'll try to summarize it up afterwards.
You mentioned about inclusion, and inclusion comes to my mind always the word engagement. And when I mean engagement, is mental engagement, emotional engagement, and physical engagement. Sometimes we get attached only with the physical engagement. And when we say engagement, we want our students to be engaged. Sometimes teachers forget that engagement is a two-way road. I mean, the teachers also must be engaged in the student learning. So when I introduced myself, for example, I talked about my hobbies, and the students love to know what we're doing for fitness, what we're doing when we are on the weekends, what we're actually doing, not only talking about it. So this kind of engagement that leads the students sometimes to be able to say, wait a minute, this is for everybody. This is for all of us, not only for the ones who were born with it, not only for athletes, not only for the non-athletes who like it, but also for the non-athletes who maybe didn't get the opportunity to take part in any activity or fun thing or competition or even sport. So engagement is key for inclusion.
I love it.
Oh, I love that point about making sure you're sort of modeling and letting kids see what it is you do to be athletic and find that wellness. So I know the next time I stroll into the gym, I'm going to get off my chair and move around a little bit. There were so many great nuggets there that I sort of think of, my gym experience, my PE experience. And I love that word of being inclusive. And I know when I taught, there's also that culturally responsive pedagogy to actually immerse in that. I know Pav's not here today, but I'll speak on the two of us. Pavs, we teach in a highly racialized community, a very diverse cultural community, and not all cultures see sports and athletics with the same prestige, and certainly across genders, there tends to be issues. There isn't issues. There's a stigma within certain cultures that we don't want females doing this. We don't want females participating in that. And so when we talked about inclusivity, I really like that, because I know in our school, in our area, one of the big goals of our school is making gym inclusive, and then also making sure there's lots of ways for female athletes in our particular area to get involved, because there tends to be a very cultural background in many of our communities that our females shouldn't be doing these type of things. So we want to make it welcoming and opening and getting past that stigma of sports. So you guys just highlighted some great things. It just reminded me some of the work we've been doing in our school around sports and getting people involved, making sure everyone has lots of access, and not tailoring our physical education to elite athletes. Because I think, as all of us know, elite athletes will be elite athletes somewhere else. else. And we want our schools and those spaces to give opportunities to people that don't have those opportunities. So you guys just absolutely crushed that first question. And I know I'm getting the message right here. Wallace is like, we got a question 2 ready. So Wallace, I think we have Nick lined up for a second great question tonight on Office Hours.
Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. My name is Nicholas Chey. I'm the curriculum coordinator here at the American School of Recife. I'm going to bring the question for the panel today. In today's world, we're dealing with so many different social and emotional issues, the traumas that students and teachers and administrators ourselves have endured in these crazy times. And what I want to ask the panel to speak on is how can we better together as schools and districts help ensure that our teachers have access to the fitness and wellness resources that they need, and more importantly, that all the teachers, regardless of their discipline, the support, embrace these activities and bring them into our classrooms. So we'd love to hear what the panel has to offer on that question. Thank you very much.
Ooh, that question is deep with so many layers. I don't know what you want to start to address first, but there's lots of great things. I know you guys can dive in and share some great insights. Neise, why don't we go with you first this time? Because I don't think I've asked you first. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. I love this interdisciplinary approach that Nick mentioned about. I think that's the key for schools, and that's the key for the students to start clicking and getting it, the content and the knowledge. However, like 20 years ago, we were discussing interdisciplinary projects and approaches. And nowadays, I think we have to go beyond that and discuss the transdisciplinary approach when we really merge and we pursue a holistic approach in learning. And for example, we can start simple. We can start with a advisory program that everybody takes a piece of it. We can also start with, if you do have a curriculum coordinator, then it's easier, because then you can really do the approach for learning every curriculum. And then from there, every teacher can really contribute to the transversal themes, and then makes all sense for the learners. What do you think, Tara?
No, I like that. I think that's super true. I love the idea of the theme too. And I love the idea of building a community around, and I know I keep using this word movement, but I feel like everyone can relate to movement. I also feel like, back to the word inclusive, I feel like it's a universal thing. It's a universal language. We all move, right? And so when you kind of remove the term athletics, or you move the term sports, you talk about moving together, engaging each other in that way, then it feels inclusive automatically. But then you talk, like Neise said, building a community around movement. That's what we need in our schools. I honestly feel like a great resource for everyone right now is a company called Teacher Fit. It's something I've recently discovered. I had Nick Mann on my podcast, and I was just blown away by his mission with this program. And I love the program. It not only offers virtual workouts that teachers can do, but it also offers class breaks in these workouts that students can do. And it works for all students. It's not like just the childlike movement either, but it's also not the elite sports. It's things that everyone can actually do with their body weight or minimum equipment, and it includes mindfulness. And so what I really love about that program is you could project it up on the screen and have all the teachers gather together maybe once a week and move together. And so not only are they getting fit together and they're releasing these endorphins that are going to help them, but they're also creating this community around movement. I think that's really important in our schools.
Yeah, that's great. And that word movement, at least here in Europe during the pandemic, we haven't been able to play full team sports or have full normal PE classes. So the focus has gone to that individual movement a lot more. And that's definitely one of the benefits, to come out of this time. But to Nick's question about, getting everyone on board, all the teachers, that's something that I use a phrase for all the time over here, and that's aligning the sails. To get your ship sailing right, you really need to align everybody, and that's admin, teachers, parents, students, coaches, everyone in your community. And, it's not an easy thing to do. But when you start working together, it becomes easier and easier. And, the first place to start, if not already, is, your PE department and your athletics office. They're so much better when they're worked together and working on the same goals, because you can talk about the things in class and then carry it out into the practice, and then really, to get those other teachers, I would say, on board, the classroom teachers, to buy into that, is something that we've had success with is job alikes within your own school. So where all the teachers have come down and kind of sat through a PE lesson, and PE teachers have gone into detail about, the ins and outs of why they're doing this activity or game with the students, and not just, we're not just playing, to see it firsthand, because so many of the, let's say, older teachers maybe get stuck in this, age-old thing of the students don't have time for everything. They have to choose, they have to do homework and study after school. They don't have time to maybe play on a team. And, we all know that's not true. And playing on a team and moving will just help them in their studies. But, still not everybody knows that.
Nick, can I add something about?
I've thought of something else too.
You mentioned something about the other teachers. Also because of this pandemic, the remote learning, we teach, for example, 80 minutes, and that's a lot of screen time. So it has been told to the classroom teacher that the kids need to move. They move to move a little bit. So they are including movement in their lessons. Mm-hmm. So they're including they are forced to, and they love it, because the students then can do something, they can experience something even in their house, in their backyard. So this was a good thing. It's a positive thing that happened during the pandemic times, that the regular classroom teachers are including movement in their own subject, within their own subject.
Agreed. Yeah, and so I never tied my answer back, but I feel like when teachers get together and they realize the benefits of movement, right? They realize the benefits of the community, but they also realize, wow, I just feel better. I'm more refreshed. And it goes right back to what Neise just said. They get to feel it for themselves. So naturally, I feel like that would transfer into the classroom. They would want to provide that for the students. And as she said, that's just a great outcome that's come out of this terrible situation, where they're actually including this, and they're like, wow, our kids are more attentive. They're ready to learn. And so I know I talked a lot about getting the staff to move, but I think that's where it starts, because they start to realize the benefits, and they're like, oh, I need to include this in my classroom.
Oh, there's lots of great points here. I don't even know where I would dive in first. I love the acknowledgement that it's not solely it is a team approach. I can't just expect a teacher to fill gaps, make differences, embed stuff. That we need to give teachers resources. We need to connect them to other people that can demonstrate. Nick, you're talking about sort of older teachers, or teachers that don't have experience with gym. And sometimes there's an oversimplification of the gym teacher or the gym role. And so it's really valuable to make sure everyone has an appreciation of how they can embed that movement in their class, how they can embed sports. And our system has to make sure that we really value it, because if our system doesn't, if our administration doesn't, then it's not going to be sustainable. And I think all of us would want it's great to have a superstar teacher or a superstar administrator that can do it. But the problem with those things is they don't become sustainable, and then other teachers tend to lean on them. We do want systemic change where we are making that movement, that athleticism, those club teams that are inclusive as part of that school culture, so that it's not dependent on one or two people. We got a few minutes, and so being a professional educator, I'll be able to come up with a question really quick and throw it around. One thing I often joke about is that I often call myself on the podcast the gym guy, and it's actually a reference because I had I won't say whether it was a teacher or admin. They said, you know what, you're just a gym guy in this community. And I paused. Whoa, what do you mean, just a gym guy? So if I threw that out to you as one possible, I'll give you a choice board. If someone were to say you're just a gym guy or just a gym girl, what would be your response? That's one choice board, but I'm a professional educator, so I'll give you two on the choice board. When we talked about, we want teachers to embed athleticism in their space, what could be something you would offer as a tangible? So I know, Terry, you talked about Teacher Fit, and yes, thumbs up to Teacher Fit. It's amazing. But if you had one thing you could say, well, you could do this, you could do a chair aerobic, or you could go on a nature walk. What is one takeaway you could give? So you could respond to one of those two questions. Hey, You're just a gym guy. You're just a gym teacher. Or, give us one takeaway that someone could say, oh, I could use that in my class, tomorrow. Thanks for that. Nick, I'll start with you, and then we'll rotate around, and then we'll see where the time is at.
Perfect. I've been called a gym guy and athlete forever. I played professional baseball over here in Europe and played hockey, being Canadian as well. Just always played. But I have a history degree, love to study, love that side. And I think those things go hand in hand. You need the yin and the yang, and there's room for everybody. You can hit the books and hit the gym. And a tip for that I would say is maybe a bit different than you other two are gonna mention, but I would say reach out on social media. If you're not out there, you're not asking questions, find people outside your walls. Obviously the world is so small now, there's people all over to reach out and share ideas with. And if you're not out there on social media, then get there.
Great tip. There is, and even in regards to PE, there are, when you think of Twitter chats, just in the Twitter space, there are PE chats. There you can really fine tune and get exactly what you want in regards to those PD sessions. And you're right, the Twitter space, beyond the 3 trolls, there's a lot of people that just want to help you, and they want to give you resources, and they want to direct you to wonderful places. Neise, how about you on that? What are you thinking about those 2 questions? Or just answer one of them. I don't want to say you have to answer both.
No, I think the challenge, the sports challenge and fitness challenge that have been happening since the distance learning started, it's a great way to put everybody together, the community, the parents, teachers, and students together. Middle school, upper school, all lower school teachers and students, all of them together doing the challenge. So I think this is a great thing to be done. And this is not something that will stop. This can continue in order to put the community together. What's the second one? Sorry.
Second one would be if someone just goes, hey, you're just a gym girl. It's just gym, eh? It's just gym.
We don't face this prejudice, like this stereotype as per se in our community. So I will skip this one.
All right, Tara, it's on you for those 2 cues.
Okay, awesome. Well, the first one, as far as just being the gym girl or just the girl who works out all the time, I think as educators, we need a model that we are working out. We need to share that out. If you do have social media or you have different social platforms for your students and your staff, they need to be seeing some of that. I think it's great to share those things. And I'm back with Nick, agreeing with Nick that I think we need to respect people's individuality, that they have so many facets and unique ways about them. I mean, I'm all about being real. That's my first book. Just be real, just be you, uniquely you. And it's such a cool package. Everybody is such a cool little package with all of their intellectual hobbies and their physical hobbies. So I don't like it when people say that, but I'm like Nick, I just want to tell them, like, hey, I have all these other things I can do too. Like, I'm a jack of all trades. I got some other things up my sleeve. As far as things that you can do tomorrow, kind of like what Neise was talking about, challenges. Now I think you can even be more specific with your school. Maybe you have like a push-up challenge, or you have like a lunge challenge, something that all the kids can do, or a lot of them can do, but you have the different scaling options. And you're trying to see how many you guys can get as a school collectively by the end of the week. And I don't know, something like that would be a lot of fun. I also think just taking moments to do stretches, teaching students stretches. A lot of adults could use those stretches too. We're all sitting a lot. So teaching them just the different stretches, 1 or 2, maybe you have a stretch of the week. And we model that for our staff and our students. And then maybe we start each class with the stretch just to kind of get it going. I think something like that could be really beneficial.
I think those become great culture builders, especially if you celebrate it. We're doing stretching week, or we're doing push-up week, and you have those announcements, or you do those, Google announcements in the virtual space, and you're really promoting it. I remember when I got called gym guy, my first thought was to be angry. What do you mean I'm just a gym guy? But then I said, you want to know what a gym guy does? This is what a gym guy does. I'm coaching. I'm providing extracurricular. I get my kids ready to learn. So you can call me a gym guy all you want, because, gym guy, I knew it wasn't meant complimentary, but I said, I'll take the gym guy label. And this is what I'm using athletics to do, because I think no one here has talked about, I want my volleyball team to be city champions. Sometimes that's nice as a big byproduct, but no one here is talking about that. We're talking about movement. We're talking about engagement. We're talking about culture building. We're talking about how we can really make it something holistic in our entire school, not just for our students. It's not just telling our students to be athletic. It's let's be athletic. Okay, so I got one more question for you because I'm a professional educator, so I can make stuff up real quick. I'm going to give you 3 tools, and let's see if you could tell me what type of exercise you could create with this. So I'm going to go a floaty like you're in the pool, like one of those that you could turn into a drum, a floaty. And I'm going to go a chair, and let's go a chair, a floaty, and let's say a spoon. 3 of those items, could you put together an activity you could do in your classroom in sort of this if you were face-to-face where you have your social distancing? Could you do or use any of those things to make a quick athletic activity that your kids could do every morning and share with the school? So I'm giving you a chair, a spoon, or a floaty. You don't have to use all 3, but bonus points on my feedback if you can. And I see some students looking very nervous.
Come on, I'll take it. I have an all 3-er. It's probably not a good one, but I could sit blindfolded on a chair and try to balance the spoon on the edge of the noodle, holding it out for as long as I can. There you go. That's what I got.
That's pretty good. Tara, what do you got? Can you top that, or can you match it?
I don't know if I could do all 3. I was just trying to pick one. I think with the floaty, you could do something where they held their arm out for a long time, so they just held it. And then you had a contest, maybe you just see who would drop their arms down faster, because everybody loves that kind of contest. And it's good for you to move your arms out. I think with the chair, though, you could do so many things. You could do lunges, where one foot is propped up on the chair and you're doing a lunge with the front leg, or you could do push-ups to where your feet were elevated. So if you had the push-up challenge, you're taking it to the next level, and everybody's going to put their feet elevated and do push-ups and see how many they could get.
Neise, how about you? Going to wrap this up? As I know, as I've thrown some questions, they weren't in the script, so you can give me cut eye for it later. But I'd love to hear your answers to these ones.
Okay, wait for me in the backstage, but I'm going to take this one. I would use the 3 of them at the same time. And because of social distance, we can use the float to make it that's separated. So one holding one edge, the other one, the other edge. The chair would be 5 meters away, and the spoon will be with one of us, and we needed to walk towards the chair and then touch the chair and come back. How about that?
I like it.
There you go.
This is perfect. And you know what? This is just highlighting that we don't need much. We just need a little bit of creativity and one little item. And you're right, students will just thrive. You had a little competition, a little timer. You guys have been great. You've passed on some nuggets. I know for sure tomorrow in my class, I'm going to look for a spoon, a chair, and a floater to make sure I can teach some PE. As we wrap up, tell everyone where they can find you. And one more, I'll push you again for just a little bit more tips. One personal tip that a teacher could do for some wellness. So let us know where we can find it. And one little tip for teachers or educators to focus on themselves. What could they do? And Tara, we'll start with you and we'll go around the circle and then we'll wrap it up.
Awesome. So on Twitter, you can find me at TaraMartinEDU. You can also find me on my website, tarammartin.com. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see a lot of CrossFit workouts because that is my passion. I love it. And so that's tarammartin.real. And a tip that teachers can do, first of all, I think it's very important that we make time for ourselves. And I think a lot of teachers just feel like they have to give, and they don't make any time for themselves. So making time for yourself, and then also finding what you're passionate about. Maybe running or beach sports or CrossFit is not for you, but there's some kind of movement out there I guarantee that you're going to love, and invest yourself in that. Do more of that. And remember, you don't necessarily have to be motivated to work out every single day. I'm not motivated to work out. I do, but I'm not motivated, but I'm committed to having a healthy body and a healthy mind. And so motivation is less than commitment, or commitment is greater than motivation. So that's my tip.
Neise, how about you?
You can find me at the ERJ website, American School of Rio de Janeiro, or in my email account is also there. But my tip would be for teachers. I think it's very important that the students have ownership. I think ownership of what they are learning. Ownership can produce knowledge. So in the fitness, for example, after we teach many ways to develop circuits and routines, if they're able to choose and create their own fitness routine, they'll have ownership of that knowledge. And this will motivate them to engage them and be able to execute all of that. And as a consequence of that, you can differentiate your learning. And then you include everyone. So that's my tip. Thank you for all of you.
Yeah, and well, you see my Twitter name there at the bottom, Nick at _AIS Vienna, and my website is globetrottinads.com. Actually have a really big student-led conference coming up this Friday with over 100 schools from around the world taking part. So that's coming right up. Looking forward to that. For a tip, I would say, work hard on the relationships with your students and with your colleagues. We talked about it, sharing personal info. You don't have to share tons, but reach out, share them, maybe a little funny story, something you like to do. Try to make a connection and start small, and it'll grow, and everyone will be better off for it.
Oh, those are fantastic tips all around. Even reminds me, I have a new grade partner this year, and it's just a quick question. And I know she loves to mountain bike, so she loves my glasses because she thinks I bike too. And I'm like, no, these are for baseball. But it's a great connection. I want to thank all three of you for joining the School Rubric Office Hours show tonight. You delivered just some great insights and some great realistic takeaways that people can use tomorrow. For everyone, Office Hours is on every Tuesday at 8. And don't worry, Pav, Tracy, and Charles will be back, and you will not need to listen to me to moderate great conversation for quite some time. But it's been a great chat. Thank you all for joining Office Hours on School Rubric, and we'll see everyone next week.
Thanks.
Bye. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for watching Office Hours presented by School Rubric. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, where we highlight voices and perspectives of educational leaders across the globe. To stay in the know with our latest upcoming panels, interviews, tutorials, and more, make sure that you follow us on social media or visit us at schoolrubric.com. Thank you.